should stay, I hope.
Yeah, you should be fine.
And apparently when they were coming before.
So we don't want it. It can't be on here. That's.
How about that?
I didn't do it this time.
How about that?
No.
Let me take mine off.
We gotta keep that clear. That's all. Actually, do you want to put yours right here?
First, like to pass along our condolences to those who lost loved ones in this morning's accident. Our thoughts are with them. This morning at approximately 5:08 a.m., State Police received several phone calls reporting that a vehicle was traveling westbound in the eastbound lanes of the Southern State Parkway in the town of Oyster Bay. Moments later, at approximately 5:10, we received additional phone calls that the vehicle had collided with another vehicle west of exit 30. Troopers responded to the scene, and our preliminary investigation found a 1998 Toyota Camry had been traveling the wrong way on the Southern State Parkway when it crashed into a 2011 Nissan Rogue traveling eastbound in the left lane. The operator of a third vehicle, a 2011 Suzuki SUV, was traveling behind the Nissan and was unable to avoid the collision and struck the Toyota. A motorcyclist who attempted to avoid the collision struck debris in the roadway and lost control of his motorcycle. The names of the victims in today's crash will be released once we have made notifications to their families. What we can tell you is that the driver and sole occupant of the Toyota Camry was 33 years old, and he was a male from Farmingdale, New York, and he was killed in the crash. 3 occupants of the Nissan Rogue were also killed: a 67-year-old male, who was the driver, a 57-year-old female passenger, and a 34-year-old passenger, female. All 3 were from Hempstead. The 4th victim in the Nissan was transported to Nassau University Medical Center and is currently listed in critical condition. The driver of the 3rd vehicle did not sustain any injuries, and the motorcyclist was taken to Good Samaritan Hospital, and he was treated for non-life-threatening injuries. The Southern State Parkway eastbound was closed for approximately 5 hours while our collision reconstruction unit used drone technologies for forensic mapping of the scene. The cause of the collision is still under investigation. We are asking for the public's help. If you have any information related to this investigation, please contact the New York State Police at 631-756-3300. Before taking any questions, I would like to thank our partners from the Nassau County Police Department, the North Massapequa Fire Department, and the New York State Department of Transportation, who assisted us in investigating this matter this morning. Any questions?
How long was the Toyota driver going in the wrong direction? How many minutes?
We believe that it was likely less than 1 minute, as we believe that the operator of the Toyota possibly entered either at exit 30 or exit 31, both of which are less than a mile from the accident scene.
Are both of those clearly marked wrong way, as far as you know?
That's still being investigated exactly where he came on. The New York State Department of Transportation are the ones that mark those roadways. We will obviously, once we've determined where he entered, we'll ensure that there were proper markings. I'm sure at this point that, based upon the hundreds of thousands of cars that are on these roads every day, that they're properly marked.
Did the driver of the runway car have any tests DUIs or any sort of problems driving?
At this time, I don't have any information related to
Do we have
this
any
history.
idea how fast any of the vehicles were going at the time of the impact? And also, do we know if the driver of the Toyota, had been under the influence of drugs or alcohol? Has those tests been conducted yet?
Many of these questions I can't answer at this time. It's still under investigation. We hope to receive some additional information after the autopsy is conducted. The medical examiner's office will obviously be securing blood and other samples from the victim in order to determine whether there was any sort of intoxication or drug impairment.
When will that be? Is that tomorrow?
I'm not sure if we have a time yet on the autopsies.
And is the driver not being identified because you don't know him yet, or because of family notification?
Pending family notification.
Okay. And was the driver of the Camry killed by the Nissan Rogue or by the 3rd vehicle, or is that not clear?
It appears that the collision between the 3rd vehicle, the Suzuki SUV, was subsequent to the accident, and it does not appear to be a contributing factor to the death of anyone involved.
So was there a fire when the first 2 vehicles hit? Could you just describe what happened?
There was a fire that did ensue. It was it was only brief, but our troopers who responded to the scene did extricate or remove people from the vehicle to ensure their safety had they survived prior to the vehicles burning.
But you think the crash is what killed them?
I can't make that determination at this time, but that would be my suspicion.
Can you describe the damage to the 2 vehicles, the first 2 vehicles that collided?
Heavy front-end damage on both of the vehicles that collided.
The vehicles that had the 4 passengers, were they heading to work? Were they family? Could you tell us a little bit? I know that's not the name.
Sure. Preliminary information indicates that they were traveling from Hempstead, headed to Farmingdale to work.
Are they related? Are they related, the victims?
At this time, it is believed that several may be related, but that's still under investigation.
Do you know the nature of the work they were going to?
I do not.
What do you want to say to the people who took time out, saw this, called 911, alerted you to it, even though it was not in time to save these lives? What do you want to say about those people?
I do appreciate their contribution in this matter. I mean, it was unfortunate that everything was the timeline was so condensed. Even though we had approximately 5 troopers that were on the Southern State Parkway at the time of this collision. Unfortunately, the less than a mile that they traveled was not enough time for us to be on the scene and potentially.
You asked for the public's help. What are you looking for?
Anybody else that may have witnessed either of the vehicles, any of the vehicles traveling, what they observed. Like I said, we're trying to confirm exactly where the Toyota entered the Southern State Parkway. And as such, if anybody can provide us any information on a route of travel for that vehicle, it would be helpful in determining exactly where he got on.
Do you know why the 4th person in that road survived? Were they in a position, why is that? Do you know why?
I can't speak for why they survived. I can tell you that it appears that the person that is currently in critical condition was the front passenger seat. The vehicle itself does have significant compression at that point. I do not know the extent of the injuries, other than that they're serious and that she is in critical condition.
Based on the scene with the one-way driver's car really mangled beyond recognition, would you be able to surmise, like, was there any avoiding this car, or was it just like last minute? Was it going very fast, and was there no avoiding?
Well, as we know, at that time of the morning, it's still dark out. It is a 3-lane highway, both directions. It appears that our preliminary investigation has determined that it appeared to have, the vehicles appeared to have collided in the left lane. I am not sure at this point, none of us are sure at this point, whether there was a vehicle to the right of the Nissan whereby they might have been able to swerve or not swerve. We really don't know. That's why we're asking for the public's help.
And age of the surviving female passenger is what?
The age of the surviving female passenger is, sorry, what was that?
34.
34 years old.
And she was in the front passenger seat?
Actually, that would be who was killed. I'm sorry. The Nissan, the 67-year-old male driver, 57-year-old female passenger, and a 34-year-old female passenger. I could probably get the.
They're the ones who died.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so I'm looking for the age of the survivor.
Okay.
We'll update that on NYSB News on our webpage.
Thank you, Dan.
Will you guys be reviewing the cameras?
The DOT cameras do not record, they only monitor traffic. However, we will be conducting a canvass for any video surveillance that, if we can determine the route off the highway, we'll try to determine whether there's any local businesses, any residents that might have, such as a Ring camera, where we can try to identify the roadways that the operator of the Toyota was traveling.
You don't know where the wrong-way driver was coming from or going to?
We know that he lives in Farmingdale.
Sir, could you just kind of picture of what first responders came upon, the catastrophic nature of the scene, how,
Sure. It was described to me by several of the troopers that were the first responders, that when they came upon the scene, obviously they did have some smoke coming from the flames, but also some airbag deployment also added to the powder and the dust that comes up when there's deployment from airbags. There was a lot of debris in the roadway, a lot of fluids from the engine compartment, antifreeze, oil. So it was a chaotic scene. I can't speak to exactly what their conditions were immediately on the scene when our troopers arrived on the scene. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, I will. Anybody that wants to stay, as soon as I update it.
Yes.